So the next two objects we're gonna, or the next two doors we're gonna kind of look at are. I've got no blueprinting whatsoever. There's no blueprinting we need to worry about if we don't need to put it in, but they're a bit tricky to set up. So let's have a see what they're actually doing first. So make it nice and big for us. So when I walk into this one, this actually has physics to it, and it returns. This too, same thing, and returns. So what I've got here are physics doors. So what have we done so far? Just to remind ourselves, we've got sci-fi opening doors, and we've got a standard opening door, and then we've also got physics doors. Okay, so setting these up, like I said, a little bit trickier, but not impossible. There's a few steps involved with these ones. So what I'm going to do is delete both of these. So that's my physics swing door, yep. And then I got my single swing, yep. Okay, so let's make these from scratch. So, pardon me. So if I just make, again, the single door, I'm going to start off this one by making it with a door frame. So I'm going to BP door fizz. To know it's a physics door. At least that's what I'm going to use to make sure it's a physics door. Oh. Silly me, I want to put it in modular, and then I want to call it down here. Apologies. Door fizz. There we go. And obviously inside there, now we're going to need to bring in the static mesh. Like that. Call it door. Now naming things is important on this one because we actually have to call this name in this. And I'm going to obviously add the door in there. Cool. Now my door's already got its position correct, so I don't have to really mess around with this next bit too much. What I'm going to do is I'll just select the static mesh above it. I like doing this just to make sure, again, there's no list draw order kind of issues. What I'm going to do is look for physics and then physics constraint. That's what I need. And then you'll see this little thing appear at the middle of the world, this little like ball with stuff going on. So what we'll do first of all is sort out the swing of like direction of the swing, and then we'll sort out connecting it to the object, and then a couple of settings, and then we're good. So this has got a little bit of a confusing, well, a bit of a different kind of layout in the details tab. But all I've got to do first of all, with the physics constraint selected, I'm going to scroll down until I see this angle limits, angular limits, and this is basically at all the different angles it can swing. So if I just start turning these off, you're going to see what they relate to. So what I'm going to do is make sure I've got swing motion 1 selected, because that's the direction in which it's going to swing. Free will just make it swing all the way around, so if you want to do something like that, totally cool. But this, I actually want to swing to a limit. And underneath here is my angles. So it says 45 degrees there. I can increase that to where I want. So I want to go to, like, say, 110 degrees. So it swings slightly outside of our peripheral. Going down, what I want to do, where it says slurp, what I want to do is change this to twist and swing, and then change this to swing. Basically what this does is, if it's slurp, it just basically free floats. And again, if you want to have that happen, slurp just lets it, like when you open the door, it kind of like hits its point and then kind of like, you know, bounces back with some kind of physics kind of driving it. What swing will do is it'll try and pull itself back to the beginning like a swing door. And then the strength is how much it swings, how powerful the swing is. And last thing to do here is at the top we've got constraint name 1 inside constraint. So if you look for your location is, it's a couple down, constraint component name 1. I'm going to look for door. So if I literally type in door there, you'll see there's like a red box appears around my door. That's because it recognizes that's the object we want to control. And that should be all that for that. The last thing to do is inside our actual object, at the very top, we've got angular dampening, and that's almost like I don't know, if we didn't have this turned on, the door would swing like them classic kind of kitchen door that swings back and forth and then gradually slows down. This just makes it a little bit stickier. So instead of like swinging back and forth loads, it'll kind of like swing and settle quick. So if I put something like, I don't know, 15 in there, and then the last thing I want to do is at the very top, if I just search sim, I want to turn on simulate physics, because this actually allows the door to actually react to me. Without this turned on, nothing's going to happen. So if I compile that, I'll drag that door fizz into the world. I'll walk into it, and there you go. So you can see, boom, physics door. And you can play with the settings, like turn on slurp, see what that does. But this is your physics door. And what I have done is actually turned off collision. I've deleted all the collision on the door frame, so technically I can walk through the door frame. But obviously, if you're thinking about this in an environment, there's, you know, you're gonna even have a barrier or a wall there to stop you from walking into it. But that is a singular door. So if I do a double door, like we've done so far, well, I'm going to make a blueprint class, make it an actor, call this BP double. Door double fizz. Open that up and go through the similar process. So add a couple of static meshes. So I'll call this door left. We'll duplicate that and name the duplicate door right. And do what I did before. So let's put a door in there. That's my door. I'm just going to rotate this so it's on the left. Now the position of this doesn't actually matter, because I'm actually going to physically, like we saw before, physically put the rotations, the hinges where I want them to be. And have a door right. I'll just put door again. There we go. Make sure I've got the default scene route selected. Oh, while we're here actually, we might as well do our thing. So angular is 15, angular 15. Oh, that's 12. Yeah, maybe you have one door less frictional than the other one. Maybe that'll give you a nice little bit of, I don't know, asymmetry to the door. And then if I search for sim, I want to simulate physics on both of them. There we go. So that's that. That's the door stuff done. And now what I'm going to do is obviously, make sure I've got the scene route selected, and then we do physics constraint. I'm going to call this left. Let's call it left. Now this is obviously all relating to the stuff on the left, and then I'm going to call this right, and it's all related to the right. In fact, what I can probably do is duplicate this after I've done all my work to it. So this is going to be door left. We want to look everything except that rotation, but we want to limit it to, say, I don't know, 110 again. Now I want to move it, so I'm actually going to change my snap into 10, because that gives me in my door here, it actually gives me a really nice position. So I'm going to move it to there. There you go. Turn off slurp to twist and swing. Highlight swing so it knows it's a kind of a swing door. And that's it. Yep, that's pretty much it. Again, I can play the strength if I want to. I'm going to duplicate this, call it right. Move it to the right door. Rotate it around 180 degrees, because obviously it needs to swing the opposite way. And all I've got to do now is just change the name to door right, so it knows it's pulling off the right door. There we go. I've input the wrong. There we go. Boom. Compile that, and then what I should have is a set of double doors on physics. Yeah, there you go. And again, because I have used this as a blueprint object, if I want to go in there, like I've just got my doors that I've been using for everything, but if I want to then go in there and change the actual door mesh to something else, all I have to do is grab the static mesh, change the static mesh. So I could change this to be whatever I want, cube. Now I've got a cube for one of the doors. Yeah. So whatever. If you think of like turnstiles, either the ones that go rotationally or them like ones with like 3 prongs on, that kind of rotate like that. You could do things like that. You could do all sorts of stuff, and there's a lots of other different things. Like we got hinges, we got things that when you walk into them, we can add kind of bones in to kind of have stuff flop around. We're going to be looking at all this kind of stuff. It's really, really, really fun. So I'm just going to replace the door back in there. Save everything. So those are some nice interactions. Basic interactions, but some nice interactions. They're literally just using either simple collisions and just changing the kind of method in which we're moving the object. So obviously we've got a simple rotation, a simple location change, applying that to double, and then we've got physics objects with like weight and constraint, and we've got double with weight and constraint. So really good, really fun. So that's some like simple interactability we can have on our level. And when it comes to physics as well, we can do quite a lot with physics, though I will say the physics in Unreal can sometimes be a bit rubbish without going in and really messing with stuff. If you think like simple kind of like template parameters, just because the physics end up being either it's the heaviest thing in the universe or you're the powerfulest thing in the universe and nothing ever apply physics to it. But again, we'll look at these as we come to them. So what we're looking at so far, there's a bit of modularity, talking about blueprinting to make objects like this here, blueprinting just to make one object out of two pieces. Same for the doors. And then we've looked at like, now that we've blueprinted those, what can we do with them? I think it's just stand to reason that we understand that if we were to bring that door frame with that door in as one object from Maya, we wouldn't be able to do anything of this, any of this kind of stuff, because those are one static solid mesh. But the fact that we have two separate objects that we bring together means that we can interact with one and we can interact with the other separately, and we can actually start to do some fun stuff with it. So back in the boom. So in the past hour, what we've covered is making sure our Unreal and our Maya are set up properly, make sure we got our grid set up properly. Simple stuff about modular modeling, making sure everything's set to a whole number at first. We looked at blueprinting, so to make sure that if we're doing anything like windows, door frames, anything like that, that we can do those very easy. We understand why. And you can extrapolate that thinking out to many different things, even down to full set pieces. If I have a table and I have loads of paper on top of it, if I go back to my, I believe I still have it open. Yeah, I do. So if I have like my scene, and I have, so on this door, on this whiteboard here, I might have a bunch of evidence, some drawings, all that kind of stuff. I can bring all these other things in as blueprint objects. Some of them could be interactable, some of them could have some kind of animation applied to them. This table here, I could like literally have a table set up where I've got loads of assets on it that I've already pre-set up, and I can quickly just drag that to wherever I want, and every time I bring it out, it's going to have all this stuff already kind of like set up on it. And I don't have to set address every time. There's loads of things we can do with this kind of stuff. From really simple things like that, where we're actually helping ourselves quickly build things, up to having objects with complex blueprinting on it. That again, we don't have to set up that blueprint again every time we make it. It's already set up for you. When you drag it into the scene, it's all good to go. And if you're thinking about more advanced blueprinting, you can do within that blueprinting, you can do different things depending on, like, every time you bring a new one out, it's got a fresh few parts that you can like plug in, like, oh, this needs a green key, this needs a blue key, but the structure is the same. It's just on that particular one in the scene, you're relating the blue key to open that, you're relating the green key to open that kind of stuff. So really fun one. We'll call it there for this one as well.